So let's dive into this Fighting Oligarchy Tour that's got everyone talking. Led by Senator Bernie Sanders and Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, it's not just a political tour, it's a movement. Their goal? To challenge the corrupting influence of billionaires in our democracy and to fight for policies that actually work for working people, not just those at the top. At the Denver rally, over 34,000 people showed up. Yes, you heard that right, 34,000. That's more than some sports arenas pack in a night. People are frustrated, and understandably so. They're tired of being sidelined by politicians who cater only to wealthy donors while leaving everyone else fighting to make ends meet. And honestly, who can blame them? Play this clip.
Cortez addressing Democratic voters furious over President Trump and Elon Musk's efforts to slash Social Security and other government programs. AOC and Senator Bernie Sanders making the first stops on their Fighting Oligarchy Tour, where crowds cheered their calls to fight back the chaos created by Trump's executive orders and sweeping federal cuts. Joining me now is California Congressman Robert Garcia. Welcome back to the show. It's always good to see you, Congressman. So Senator Sanders said 34,000 people turned out in Denver Friday, calling it the largest of the hundreds of rallies that he's done. These rallies and the spirited town halls hosted by Democratic lawmakers across the U.S., they're harnessing something of a fighting spirit Democratic voters want to see more of. So is this the way to turn anger into action and mobilize voters in the battle against Trump and his agenda?
Absolutely. Look, first, I was a supporter and fan of Alex's, of AOC's, before I got to Congress, and even more so now. I think what she is doing right now, what Bernie Sanders is doing right now, is exactly what we need to be doing across the country. Their message about taking on billionaires who are not focused on lowering costs, who are not focused on making housing more affordable, is and should be the Democratic message. We have to be in this fight and fighting hard. And Democrats are already around the country. We're hosting town halls. We've got town halls here back home in my district. We're going into Republican districts. So this is a time for us to be on the offense and to fight and match the energy that people have on the ground who are angry at Donald Trump and at Elon Musk, essentially trying to take away all of their earned benefits and services across the country.
And Ocasio-Cortez are focusing on some urgent issues. One big one is wealth redistribution. Let's face it, the wealth gap has been growing for decades. While billionaires get richer, families across America are struggling to pay for basic necessities. Sanders' message about fair taxation strikes a chord because it's about restoring balance, you know? And then there's campaign finance reform, ending the dark money that's poisoned our elections. It's a message that resonates beyond party lines because deep down, most people want their voices to matter as much as billionaire donors. And speaking of inequality, let's talk about Medicaid cuts. More than 600,000 people in Arizona alone could lose access to essential health care. That's kids, seniors, working families, all left out in the cold. Just imagine that. For many, it's literally life or death. This is why Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez are hitting the road so hard. These rallies aren't just about opposition politics. They're about giving people a voice, shedding light on policies that could devastate millions. But what's even more striking is how their message is catching on, especially in areas that have been traditionally overlooked by Democratic leadership. Across the swing districts and Republican strongholds, their advocacy is mobilizing people who feel like the system has left them behind. And we're seeing what's possible when that frustration turns into action. Now, let's get real about the stakes here. Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez are shining a spotlight on the creeping power of billionaire-backed politics. Let's talk about the so-called Department of Government Efficiency, headed by none other than Elon Musk. On the surface, it's pitched as saving taxpayer dollars, but it's draining communities dry. Federal workers terminated, programs gutted, entire departments hanging by a thread. Also, corporations and billionaires can pocket more tax breaks. It's systematic, you know? And this isn't just happening in abstract policy discussions. Look at Greeley, Colorado. Community members there are in crisis. You've got families who can't access Medicaid anymore who are suddenly grappling with staggering medical bills overnight. I mean, imagine someone skipping life-saving medication because they simply can't afford it anymore. It's heartbreaking, infuriating, and most importantly, preventable. I want to connect the dots here because as a healthcare professional, I've seen it with my own eyes. Patients who didn't have health coverage before Medicaid expansion, finding some stability, finally being able to afford insulin or blood pressure medications. Now, that security's been ripped away, and what happens? They cut pills in half, ration their medicines, or stop treatment altogether. For some of them, it might mean a stroke, kidney failure, or tragically, death. And this is a policy choice. It's not just statistics. It's stories of real lives being devastated. And it's not just healthcare. Look at other services being slashed left and right. Programs that people rely on, veteran services, education funding, scrapped. And the justification? Efficiency. But efficient for who? Certainly not the single mom in Greeley working 2 jobs who now has to choose between a daycare bill and groceries. If you ask me, this isn't efficiency. It's an assault on basic human dignity. That's why Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez are loud and unapologetic in their critiques. Their fight isn't just against a billionaire class. It's for people like the cancer patient in Greeley or the veteran who desperately needs their VA doctor. This is about humanity, plain and simple. Now, if there's anything we've learned from Sanders and AOC's Fighting Oligarchy Tour, it's this. Change starts with us, you, me, and the communities we're part of. From Denver's monumental turnout in Civic Center Park to the packed venues in Arizona, this movement is more than a moment. It's a wake-up call, one that says grassroots activism is not just alive, but rising stronger than ever. You know, it's inspiring to see how this message echoes beyond these rallies. Take Minnesota, where Governor Tim Walz is leveraging his platform to champion bold economic policies for working families. There we see a different kind of leadership, one that stands up for the people rather than just towing the middle ground. It's exactly this kind of advocacy that reminds us what progressive leadership can achieve when it listens to the voices we so often disregard. And then there's Arizona. Thousands gathered to push back against billionaire-dominated politics, and the energy there is proof that people are ready to fight for what matters: healthcare, education, jobs, and let's not forget democracy itself. Picture this: rally cries echoing through swing states, working-class Americans building coalitions to support candidates and policies that finally reflect their realities. It's a beautiful resistance, rooted in hope and action. But here's the takeaway: none of this happens without you, without people walking into their communities and saying, this is unacceptable. I deserve better. We all deserve better. So let's carry this fire forward. Let's mobilize locally. Let's organize nationally. And let's challenge those who prioritize power over people. The path to change, it's through each and every one of us. That wraps up today's episode of The Real 411. I want to personally thank each and every one of you for tuning in and for your continued support. It means more than you know. If you found value in today's discussion, please drop a comment, follow us on all social media platforms, and let us know what topics you'd like to see us cover next. Be sure to sign up for our email newsletter so you never miss an update or exclusive insight. And if you believe in independent media that digs deeper and dares to tell the truth, please consider following The Real 411 on Substack and Fanbase. We offer both free and paid subscriptions, and your support helps us continue producing content that informs, empowers, and sparks real conversation. Thanks again for being part of this journey. Because remember, the story is never just the headline. Until next time, stay informed, stay bold, and stay real.